so I'm going to start. My name is Alan Jones. I'm the Senior Director of Digital Library and Technical Services at the New School, a small, scrappy school in Greenwich Village, New York. But we do a lot of resource sharing work, as well as a lot of work in standards. So if you guys hear me say 18626, you drink. If I get into ISIL symbols, well, then it's the hard stuff. So we're gonna do kind of take a tour around kind of the evolution of the standard, kind of what it is that we've been doing with ReShare, as well as some things within Alma as well. In terms of talking about interoperability, I'm going to talk a little bit about lessons learned. Hopefully, we will have a demo, a live demo of kind of what it is, the work that's actually going on within Trove and Caval to actually build a national lending network. And then we'll conclude with what the next steps are going to be for the 18626 protocol. So drink. So with that, I also want to introduce my colleague, Jakob Skozen, from Index Data, who's been the lead architect for CrossLink, as well as working on the ReShare project as well. So many thanks go out to IDS as well. IDS has been a critical partner and sponsor in a lot of the work that's been going on. So this has been probably in my 30 years in working in library, one of my favorite projects. So if I kind of go on and on about it, it's because literally this was the kind of thing, especially with the time zone shift in Australia, where you would be up late at night actually seeing if stuff would actually work. And when it did, it was addictive. Okay, just let's talk a little bit about we talked a little bit about the agenda. And let's just talk about setting the stage. How did we actually get here? Well, there's how many people have actually heard of SILT? Okay, the two people in the back, but I mean, come on, you guys are ReShare. So what SILT basically is it's an organization called the Center for Interlibrary Loan Transactions. It's the maintenance agency that's responsible for the current version of ISO 18626. Prior to that, there was, I told you, you're going to be drunk by the end of it. It's the maintenance agency that is responsible for the current version of this ILL protocol. This protocol is responsible for sending messages between a supplying library and a requesting library to actually fill requests back and forth. And it started many, many years ago. There was a version prior to that, which was 10.160 and 10.161. 10.160 basically being kind of the semantic rules and the semantic structure, and 161 actually being the structure of each of the messages. What happened was with 18626, drink, there was a decision to try to make this a little bit more web friendly. So if you remember back in the day, if you can remember your OSI stack, where there were protocols and then there were different types of transports and other, layers upon layers of network traffic. What it did was it evolved something that used to be kind of a machine level protocol to something that was a web friendly protocol. And so that opened up a lot of different possibilities, thus the new 18626 standard. This group was probably, it goes all the way back till about 2014 with the first version. But it brought together a number of different vendors, Ex Libris being one of them. I don't even know what to call. Actually, is it Clarivate? Is it ProQuest? Is it whatever? But it also brought folks like Autographics, as well as Atlas, as well as OCLC, and a number of different groups around the same table to basically talk about what are the practitioner problems and how are they actually expressed in the protocol. So it's a really interesting group of implementers and practitioners, and actually trying to figure out how this stuff would actually talk kind of across the table. Were things that people were building used, or were they just kind of left to the table? So that group is actually composed of 3 different groups. I'm going to just move this. There's the editorial committee that's actually responsible for the actual definition of the protocol. We're the ones that actually write the XSD files that define what the protocol is, what it does, and what it won't do. There's a library advisory group that are the group of practitioners. And as I said, they're the implementers who are the people, the developers within the different vendors to actually implement this. Now, there's something that's really important about this transition from 10.160 to 10.1, or from 10.160, 161 to 18.626. The messaging, one of the things that the earlier form did that the later form did not was it assumed a certain set of steps and a certain set of states that had to happen. You had to say expects to supply before you say you would supply it. And after you would supply it, you'd have to say shipped, right? So there's certain sequence of steps that used to have to happen. That didn't happen with 18.626. It was much more open. And so there was a lot of interesting creativity that happened, but it also meant that even if you weren't using the standard, or even if you were using the standard, if the state models didn't align, then you could potentially not be compatible. So certain things like will supply, for example, is it something that happens once? Is it something that happens multiple times? Is it something that actually happens with updates? All of those rules went out the window with 18.626 because those were defined in the previous version. There you go. So as I said, SILT is the maintenance agency for this protocol, and Working Group 4 out of the International Standards Organization is responsible for the draft of the new version. We're going to talk about the new version much later. There have been 3 versions that have been out. The first one basically adopted it from a network protocol to a web protocol. The second one brought in conditional logic as well as other types of features, different types of shipping features and other things. The third protocol, which was the 2021 version, focused much more on electronic lending as well as digital lending, brought in some innovations around controlled digital lending. And then this new version has actually got a number of new features that I think everybody will be interested in. We talked a little bit about this. The parts of the ISO message, in case anybody's interested besides me, you can see that there's a lot of information that's actually carried back and forth. One of the things that is really interesting is that with the protocol, you can actually send something as simple as a bibliographic identifier and no other bibliographic information, like an OCLC number or like a national library number, or you could send as much bibliographic data as you want. The service info may have information like what protocol should I actually send this PDF over in order for you to pick it up in. Things like the requesting agency information and billing information is if you're going to charge for something. So there's a number of different components from the requester side. This is, for example, in the service info, a piece of information that's really relevant is how much am I willing to pay for this thing? Now, the joke is that when 2017 came out, it's a string, it's actually not a readable number. So there are certain things like that that are really important to begin kind of thinking about and getting right as we start talking about fees and fines and delivery service fees, and how we're actually going to communicate that in the new version of the protocol. On the supplier side, you'll see that there are a number of other things like the delivery info, whether it's FTP, whether it's email, whether it's whatever. We also included in the 2021 version a URL. So in case somebody actually wanted to pick something up, or more importantly, if you were a controlled digital lending object, this would be where